Hello. Let's talk about terrifying things that are circular in nature, shall we? I have a question for you. Let's say you trying to save your career and you come across, as a journalist, you come across this very interesting phenomena. 4 random children died out of the blue of a heart attack on the same day. And as you chase it, because one of them is your niece, you realize that their deaths are intrinsically connected to this very bizarre tape they've watched. And you have watched it now. And according to what you've gathered, 7 days after watching this tape, you die. Now imagine that a couple of days after you've watched that tape, your wife and son accidentally watched that tape too. How far would you go to learn how to break the curse? Well, that's what Asakawa asked himself in Ring by Kōji Suzuki. This is the basic premise of the book. And most of it also stayed with the movie. Probably my first video of year 2 of 13 Nights of Halloween will be a very long as movie where I rank all the installments of the series, both in book format and visual format, because there are tons of them. But after reading the book, I realized how much of a different experience it is from the movies. So I initially thought about ranking all the movies today, but no, I don't want to shorten myself or you. So I want to thoroughly read all the books and then go into the movies and put some more thought into it, because believe it or not, the book is similar. As I mentioned before, the basic premise is the same for all of them, but it differs in many key points. So in the book, the 2 main protagonists go in search of the truth of the tape are Asakawa. He's a male who is married with 1 child, and he gets the help of his friend, Ryuji. These 2 friends, they go in a journey, and the book was very, very good, and it didn't scare me, but it deeply disturbed me, and it made me very anxious, and it was very unnerving. But it read almost like a mystery thriller with some paranormal and science thrown into it. The way Suzuki takes the book, it also gave me a genre-bending, almost sci-fi vibe. Nobody has ever called it sci-fi, but there's a very, very strong scientific component in it, as well as with imagining. Let's talk about the writing. Suzuki's writing might not be for everyone, but that man takes you where he wants to in terms of atmosphere. That book was freaking slow. It's a book that starts and ends on the same tone. There's no climax. There's some more intense scenes, But don't go into it like the movie to expect the big end, because no, it's just like this, but it keeps you at the edge of your seat all throughout, and that has been my experience. There are some aspects of the book that I'm not sure I quite liked or understood. And I'm giving a warning now that I basically from here on out will flirt with spoiler territory. I'll be discussing some spoilers, so if you haven't watched it or read the book and you intend to do so and spoilers annoy you, I suggest then maybe you skip the rest of the movie. I'll try to be as vague as possible, but there are some key plot points that I kind of have to mention. I'll link all my timestamps final thoughts where I'll do a spoiler-free sum up and let you know which one I recommend so I can see you then. But there are some things that I still do not comprehend about the book. One of them is that Ryuji is a freaking genius, but he's not a very likable character because from the beginning, Asakawa gets his help because he has something to blackmail him with, which is the fact that he is a rapist. Or it has been said that he has committed some rapes in his youth, hasn't since, but that's still something that he has confessed to Asakawa, and it's his card on his sleeve to make his friend help him in this. I will put a question out there if you have read this book in the original language, which is Japanese. And here's what I'm asking you a question. I was looking it up because I can't believe that, rape is treated so casually. So I was looking up for different kanjis or Japanese symbols could mean rape. And one of them has many, many different meanings, including seduce, which is not the same. This book was written in 1991. I don't know much about the Japanese culture, but let's say that Ryuji seduced a couple of girls, had sex with them, and then never called again. I don't know how, maybe that would have been bad as well because of, the women's reputation. So that I could see having this impact and being treated almost as casually because it just means that he's a freaking asshole frat boy, but not a rapist. So I don't know, if you read it, do you know what word was used, what adjective was used to refer to him in this instance? Was it really rape within context, or it could have been something like seduced or used a girl, like just a one-night stand or something? I don't know. It's something that made me wish I knew Japanese and read the book in its original form, because we're talking a very big difference here. But anyway, let's ignore this fact like the book has ignored. If it triggers you, then maybe the book is not for you because it's only going to get worse from here. There are many aspects of the book that I adored. It was the fact that we literally go on a journey with these two men. We learn things that they learn, and there's no way where you be lost in the plot because everything is described. So, when Asagawa entered the train, what he ate, what time it stopped at the station, and what station he got off, and where he went after that, you got the meaning. But everything, it just helps you really get into the mind frame of going over everything with them. It's a very easy book to read in one go. And another thing that is very different is we do get a big background on Sadako, our girl, and she's actually a young adult in the novel. She is not at all a child. The person who killed her is also very differently. It is not one of her parents, And if I'm not mistaken, there's no indication of her have killed anyone when she was on the demonstration with her mom. So there are quite a few differences in the backstory, and I have to confess, the tape itself was so well done. In the book, what you see in the tape, and the tape lasts about 20 minutes, is key points of Sadako's life from her memory that with her telekinetic power, she imprinted on the tape. So literally the tape will lead you through key points of her life up to her death. But they make no sense and it's a jumble, and they actually had to use some brain power and research to figure it out. I really enjoy the tape aspect in the book, as I did Sadako's backstory. She was this gorgeous girl who had a life and died tragically. Again, you can just skip ahead a little bit because I am going to say who kills her in the book. It is a doctor that works at this sanatorium where her dad, who has tuberculosis, is spending his last days. She always goes to visit him. And then this doctor catches smallpox. He claims to be in a hallucinative febrile stage or something. Potato. He's making excuses. He actually finds her so beautiful, he rapes her. Literally, this time, without a question of a doubt, is rape. And right after the rape, he looks down at her, knowing that she used to be a virgin before this happened, and he notices that she's actually intersex. He gets so angry, and I think maybe people would have read it differently. In my opinion, he wasn't upset because she was intersex. He was upset because he realized he just raped someone, so he kills her, throws her in the well, covers, and the rest is history. And this is where the sci-fi comes in, because in the book, the tape is a hybrid of Sadako's rage, but also as she died, she contracted the smallpox, so her rage became like a virus, and then she technically imprinted the tape, and the tape needs to be spread like a virus does. And there is a big scientific explanation in the book and things like that, and that's, I think, the main differences between both. I will admit the book might not be for everyone, but I simply adored it. I'm still disturbed by it. I wasn't scared, but there was a little bit of science, of mystery, of paranormal, and some questions that are not answered yet. So for me, I haven't rated it yet, but it's definitely between a 4 and a 5. I highly recommend. Now let's talk of the movies. The main difference between the movies is that in this case, Asakawa is actually a girl, a single mother with a son. She is quite neglectful. And in one way or another, Ryuji is either her ex-husband or the father of her child, and they go on this journey together. The tape is way different too, because it seems to lead... I'll start with the American one. So in the American one, and this will be full of spoilers as well, the tape is somehow connected to Sadako in the sense that it seems to predict the steps they are taking. There are signs that let them know as they investigate what's going on with the tape that they're on the right side. Sadako is a child. In this one, in the American one, she's actually called Samara. And the person that kills her is her mom. People seem to love the 2002 The Ring, directed by Gore Verbinski, the American version, way more than they do the Japanese. And in a way, I can see the main difference between both of them is this one is full of jump scares. It is in your face, a horror. And I guess not everybody likes reading subtitles. Maybe I think it has a lot to do with it. And of course, Naomi Watts is a great actress, so she does sell that. But I feel that the Samara part just fell flat. It left more questions than it gave answers. It felt very loosely plotted. And if it wasn't going to follow the original Japanese movie to the T, why didn't base itself in the actual book rather than a movie? So it's like literally a remake, and I don't get it. It doesn't scare me. It has jump scares. The cinematography is beautiful. It is a very dark, compelling, fast-paced horror, but that's that. One thing that I'll mention here too is that in both the American and the Japanese version, in the last scene, like Sadako / Samara appears when Ryuji is dying. She comes out of the TV, and that part is terrifying. But in the book, that's not how it happens. In the book, what happens is just this surge of anxiety that causes a heart attack. And if you happen to look at yourself in any reflection, like Ryuji did on the television, you see yourself as a very old and deformed person, which adds to your anxiety. So that's how Sadako kills them in the book. This, I have to say, I prefer the way it happens in the movies. Now let's jump to the Japanese version. Ringu was directed by Hideo Nakata in 1998, and there has been a version more faithful to the book before it, but it was made for TV with a poor quality. But for now, we gotta consider this as the first one in the series, and it has the same differences as I made before. And the first time you see Sadako, I tell you, it is a scary scene that scared me 4 nights in a row when I first watched it. And it's one of those movies that it doesn't matter how desensitized I am to horror. Whenever I watch this movie, I'm still afraid to look at the mirror in the dark. I still think about it, and sometimes I hear like that noise. So it is effective for me. It still scares me, but it is a jump scare kind of movie. No, it's a very atmospheric, slow-paced movie, and I think that in atmosphere and pacing, it mirrored the book in the sense that there's no big climax. It's everything you just enveloped in Sadako's story, and you want to savor. And the acting is superb, and this film is very like dark visually as well, and is very claustrophobic, and it has a lot of paranormal hints, but it managed to make you feel sorry for Sadako like the book did. The American movie, not so much, because I don't even know what I'm supposed to feel about Samara because I didn't get to know her. In the Japanese movie, I feel that I have, and her story is very tragic and is very sad. And I find myself quite honestly forgetting that I'm supposed not to like her because she is a villain and she actually kills people, or does she? Because she doesn't, the virus does. Food for thought. I prefer the Japanese version of the two, but they're both watchable. I think it depends for whatever you like. On the Japanese version, the person who kills her is her father. And she is also a child. I don't know why they made the difference, but they did. So who did it better? I would say that between the two movies, as I said, my favorite is the Japanese 1998 Ringu version. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. That for me it's a 4.5-star watch. It is a great movie. The American version is not that far behind. I gave it a 4-star. But like I said, I didn't connect to Samara. I still don't understand where they're going with it in the movie and why change some plot points just for the sake of it when you're basing yourself on the movie and not even incorporating more from the book. That confused me and is not kind of the horror that scares me, such as Ringu is. So between the two, my vote goes for Ringu, not The Ring. Now, who did it better as far as the American, The Ring, and the book? The book. So between the book and the American Ring, I prefer the book. However, now, let's talk Ringu and The Ring, the book. Who did it better? I don't know. Don't kill me, but I think I actually prefer the book, and I know this is a very unpopular opinion, only because I'm still carrying that freaking book with me. It was highly disturbing. It was not horror at all, but it's innovative. The way I've never thought of a mix of like paranormal, psychic abilities, and science would create a virus, and that would be a social commentary. I don't know, is that true horror? No, it isn't. But I do prefer it. Only because it has unsettled me so much. But that is by a very slight smidge, because I still want you to watch Ringu, the Japanese movie. It is terrifying. Terrifying. Terrifying in a very paranormal kind of way that is not in your face. It's just the mood it puts you in. But they're both fantastic. I would say that obviously I have my caveats. There are those things that I didn't like in the book that are spoilery. So if you watch this, you know what it is. There's a couple things that I don't like, but the tape aspect in the book is so much better. It's more scary, and I think it makes more sense to have a tape that is a true imprint of Sadako rather than something that is just a plot convenience for the people that are looking for her story. However, the way that Sadako / Samara kills in the movies, both movies, it's, in my opinion, way better than in the book. It was definitely terrifying to watch her crawl out of the TV and just come to the person. And it was like, I probably would die of a heart attack as well. Rather than just the feeling that is imprinted on the victim. Even though that makes sense within the context of the book. But as far as horror goes, definitely I will give the movies the MO of Sadako 100%. And that's what I had for this episode of The Ring. I hope you enjoyed it. Have you read any of the Ring novels? Have you watched any of the movies, either Japanese or American? Let me know down below. Let's have this conversation. What did you think of them? Well, I'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, be the hummingbird.